And welcome to the November 24th, 2025 Eugene City Council meeting. Thank you for joining us tonight in this hybrid meeting format. Anyone wishing to access the meeting remotely can do so by watching the live stream on our website, the broadcast on Comcast Channel 21, or by following the access instructions listed on the city's public webcasts and meetings materials page. Tonight's meeting will include a public comment period. And if you wish to speak and have not already done so, please fill out a request to speak form on our public webcast and meetings materials webpage or at the entrance to this room. We will accept request to speak forms until 7:35 p.m. These forms will be used to generate the random order of speakers and to correctly enter speakers' names into the public record. The public comment period will be limited to 90 minutes or conclude by 10 p.m., whichever occurs first. If the number of speakers exceeds the time we have allotted, we encourage speakers to consider abbreviating their remarks so that the maximum number of speakers can be heard. For those joining the meeting remotely for the public comment period, you are welcome to email your comments to City Council, and that is true of anyone attending here tonight in person as well. As a reminder, City Council's meeting rules of conduct apply to all attendees, both in the chambers and in the lobby outside of this room, and include no flags, signs, loud or disruptive language, noise, or conduct that obstructs the business of the council. Please keep the room quiet and respectful for all speakers, just one person speaking at a time, and you are welcome to wave your hands in silent support. Additionally, we encourage all those who are ill or who have had close contact with others that are ill to join our meetings remotely rather than in person, and we have masks available in the lobby if you need one. In case of a medical emergency, an automated external defibrillator, an AED, is located on the counter behind staff at the west side of this room, and emergency exits are through the double doors located at the back of the room and the double doors located at the front. The doors to the patio can also be used as needed. And with that, I call the November 24th, 2025 meeting of the Eugene City Council to order. We will begin this evening with a land acknowledgement. Since time immemorial, the Kalapuya people have been the indigenous stewards to our region, building dynamic communities, maintaining balance with wildlife, and enacting sustainable land practices. This land acknowledgement is a way of resisting the erasure of indigenous histories and to honor Native communities by inviting truth and reconciliation. Following treaties between 1851 and 1855, Kalapuya people were dispossessed of their indigenous homeland by the United States government and forcibly removed to the Coast Reservation in Western Oregon. As we consider the impacts of colonization, we also acknowledge the strength and resiliency of displaced indigenous people. The city of Eugene is built within the traditional homelands known as Kalapuya Ilihi. Kalapuya descendants are citizens of the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde Community of Oregon and the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians of Oregon. They continue to make contributions in our communities here and across the lands. We express our respect for the inherent political sovereignty of all federally recognized tribal nations and indigenous people who live in the state of Oregon and across the nation. Our first item on tonight's agenda is committee reports and items of interest. Council, I'll now open the floor for committee reports and items of interest. Councilor Yeh.
Thank you, Mayor. I had two things. The first is I was able to attend a Highway 99 walk audit and town hall. I guess it's been a couple weeks now, that was hosted by the AARP and BEST, and I found it incredibly eye-opening and very informative. And very shortly, what I learned is there are quite a few challenges in the corridor, but a lot of potential. And so I was really glad to be able to attend that and to listen to everyone's ideas. And there was a lot of consensus. It was a really enjoyable event for me personally. And then the committee report, I wanted to report back the police commission. We actually had a really productive meeting last night. We got through 3 different policies: the officer response to calls, which is 416, 411, which is trespass letters of consent, which was more of an educational item. And then we also made some updates to 1204, which is the automated license plate readers policy that we've been talking about a lot here in council. And I just wanted to thank Chief Sinner because it was a very informative discussion. It was very clear that he understood what people's concerns were and taking them very seriously. And while I didn't think that all of them were addressed, I thought that the discussion was very helpful and was moving in the right direction. And it was a good example of how when people bring their concerns forward, how they should be addressed and they should be taken seriously. And I just wanted to acknowledge that I thought it was a really useful meeting. So yeah, so if people want to watch that, it's recorded.
Councillor Keating.
Thank you, Mayor. Just audio check from
Yes, we
my
can hear you.
hotel. Coming to you live from my hotel in Reno, Nevada. I'm on a road trip back to Eugene from the National League of Cities conference that I attended in Salt Lake City. The NLC in SLC featured several standouts I want to share with council. A large cities roundtable that featured topics revolving around housing, AI, the challenges on the horizon, and advocacy communicating with our federal, state, and county partners. A session on trust and safety, local government strategies on federal immigration policy, which obviously is most timely. And a conversation or a workshop around a project called the Dignity Index. And I'll bring back hard copies to share with colleagues. It was an overview and application workshop that encouraged pro-civility dialogue and help in an effort to help ease division, prevent violence, and solve problems. For more approach, this Vinny weighing in the background, you can go to www.dignity.us. And most notably, Mayor, there was a platform and resolutions approval process that happened at the conclusion of our weekend at the business meeting. And I just want to report and say thank you to my colleagues from Hood River and Ashland, Councilor Gladys Rivera and Ashland Mayor Tanya Graham in particular. Councilor Rivera advanced an amendment that I supported wholeheartedly that was a pro-immigration amendment calling for essentially our sanctuary communities and sanctuary states to be strengthened in condemning the recent attacks, raids, and abductions by ICE and masked agents. The vote count for that amendment was 368 yes, 239 no, 290 abstain. And sadly, because the math, the way that worked out, that amendment failed. But your delegation, including yours truly, and the aforementioned councilor from Hood River and the mayor from Ashland fully supported the amendment. That concludes my report from the road, Mayor.
Councillor Zelenka.
Yeah, thank you. I attended the Public Safety Coordinating Council, the PSCC, last week. Previously, I had talked about the parole and probation system was in trouble financially with legislative budget cuts that occurred to the tune of over $4 million. And that created a rather big problem in that about a third or 1,000 of the parolees would end up being unsupervised in Lane County, which is a very untenable circumstance. Fortunately, the county commissioners were able to cover that deficit and restored the funding so that all the parolees in Lane County are going to be supervised. So that was kind of big news for the PSCC last week. We don't have to worry about that anymore until next year.
Any other council? I will add a couple of items of interest. I was with Councilor Ye at that Highway 99 Town Hall, and it was, I think, very energetic and information-rich conversation about the importance of the design for safety along that street, but also a lot of energy from the community around the hopes that people have for how Highway 99 and the community surrounding are growing into the future. I was also privileged to attend the entirety of our Lane County Deflection graduation a little bit over a week ago. And for those of you unfamiliar with the deflection program within Lane County, it is incredible work being done through coordination of our law enforcement, with also our courts, criminal justice system, community partners to offer a path, deflection, away from the criminal justice system and into recovery. And the people who were graduating, the stories and the community shared in that experience, really quite extraordinary, but also extraordinary was the way in which our program, as the best in the state and also the most progressive and forward-thinking in how we are applying this work, that was also highlighted at that event. And it was really, I think, something for us as a community to be proud of. I also want to offer a short update from our Poverty and Homelessness Board and the Executive Committee meeting that we had last week, which offered an update on the context, the circumstances that we find ourselves in within the changing preferences and priorities of the current federal administration. I want to highlight for you all that through the discussion and the presentation at the Poverty and Homelessness Board, it was highlighted that, and some of this is not immediate news, but is important context altogether. We know that our state funding for homelessness prevention and for long-term rent assistance were both decreased looking into the current and our future fiscal years. And we also know that our emergency shelter capacity is currently absent some of the resources that it needs to continue being the most cost-effective, average cost per bed, or among the very top two shelter capacity systems within our state. The other context that's important to share is that it was highlighted in that meeting that the shifts in the federal administration's approach to the grant application, the funding application process for our community of care located within Lane County. Previous to this coming year, that was a circumstance where about only 10% of our community of care was funded through a competitive grant process. With the changes in this administration's priorities and approach to poverty and homelessness, that number is now 70%. And the criteria and the structure of that grant process is not designed to reward in any way communities that have previously shown great diligence in addressing our most vulnerable populations. So I flag that for you all in the sense that looking into year 2026, we have some of our work cut out for us. With that, thank you. That concludes our first agenda item this evening. Our second agenda item, I will now turn to the Assistant City Manager to introduce priority goal action on the adoption of a resolution discontinuing a low-income rental housing property tax exemption for the Ravelli on 6th Avenue.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of points. In 2024, the City Council adopted Resolution Number 5396, which approved a low-income rental housing property tax exemption, LRPT, for Reveille on 6th and at 1190 West 6th Avenue. In 2025, Reveille Foundation notified the city that the property was transitioning to short-term shelter use in partnership with Lane County's deflection program. Due to the change in use, Reveille Foundation plans to pursue a different tax exemption that better aligns with the property's use. Reveille has requested that the City Council repeal Resolution Number 5396 to discontinue the LRPT for this property. Thank you, Mayor.
If there are no questions from council, I will turn to the council president to put a motion forward.
I move to adopt a resolution discontinuing a low-income rental housing property tax exemption for Reveille on 6th Avenue in Eugene, Oregon, and repealing resolution number 5396.
Second.
Any discussion from council? Seeing none, I'll take a vote for this motion. Councilors, please lock in your votes on the tablets in front of you. And this motion passes. Councilor Keating, I see you voting in the affirmative. Thank you, by a vote of 8-0. Thank you. That concludes our second agenda item this evening. Our third item on tonight's agenda is consent calendar 1, approval of city council minutes and approval of the city council tentative agenda. If there are no questions from council, I'll turn to the council president to put a motion forward.
I move to approve the items on consent calendar 1.
Second.
Any discussion from council? Seeing none, I'll take a vote for this motion. Councilors, please lock in your votes. And Councilor Keating, I see your vote in the affirmative, and the motion passes with a vote of 8-0. Thank you. That concludes our third agenda item this evening. Now turn to the Assistant City Manager to introduce our fourth agenda item, which is an action on an ordinance extending the term of ordinance number 19775 and ordinance number 20397, granting to Comcast of Oregon II Incorporated a franchise for operation of a cable telecommunications system.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a proposed ordinance extending the Comcast cable television franchise agreement until June 30th, 2027. The extension will provide Comcast and the city additional time to come to agreement on unresolved issues because of unanticipated delays, including franchise consortium staff changes and scheduling issues impacting progress. All parties, including Comcast, agreed to an 18-month extension with a commitment to conclude negotiations as soon as possible. This proposed extension of the ordinance would only extend the term of the current franchise. All other franchise terms and conditions would remain the same, including Comcast's obligations to pay the franchise fees for use of the public right-of-way. Thank you, Mayor.
If there are no questions from council, turn to the council president to put. Councilor Groves, thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. Assistant City Manager, do we have any estimate of how long that's going to actually take? I mean, I know 18 months, but these things can drag on, which does concern me.
I believe our intent is to get it to resolve all of the contract or the franchise agreement pieces as quickly as possible. But Jay Runty is here. Jay, do you have any additional information? Thank you.
Hi, Councilor Groves. Jay Runte, Broadband and Telecom Program Manager with the Information Service Department. Our goal is to ideally have this buttoned up within the next 6 months is the end goal.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, council. Seeing no other questions, I'll turn to the council president to put the motion forward.
I move to approve an ordinance extending the term of ordinance number 19775 and ordinance number 20397, granting to Comcast of Oregon, Inc., a franchise for operation of a cable telecommunications system.
Second.
Any discussion from council? Seeing none, I will now take a vote for this motion. Councilors, please lock in your votes on your tablets. Councilor Keating, see you voting in the affirmative, and the motion passes with a vote of 8-0. Thank you. That concludes our fourth agenda item this evening. For our fifth agenda item, I'll turn to the Assistant City Manager to introduce an action on the Transient Lodging Tax Code Amendment.
Thank you. In 2022, the City of Eugene transferred the responsibility for collecting transient room tax to the Oregon Department of Revenue. At that time, the city amended several sections of the Eugene Code to align with the Oregon Department of Revenue model ordinance. However, one section that remained unchanged was the requirement for the city to issue certificates of authority to lodging providers upon registration. Although the state now handles tax registrations and collections, the city has continued to issue these certificates because it is still one of the requirements in the code. The proposed ordinance before you tonight would eliminate this requirement, streamlining the process for both lodging providers and city staff. A public hearing was held on this item on November 17th, at which no public testimony was provided. Thank you, Mayor.
There are no questions from council. I'll turn to the council president to put a motion forward.
I move to adopt an ordinance concerning transient lodging tax and amending sections 3.775, 3.780, and 3.798 of the Eugene Code 1971.
Second.
Discussion from council? Seeing none, I will now take a vote for this motion. Councilors, please lock in your votes. And the motion passes with a vote of 8-0. Thank you, council. This concludes our fifth agenda item this evening. Now turn to the Assistant City Manager to introduce our sixth agenda item, which is an action on urban growth strategies initiation of the 2026 adoption process.
Thank you, Mayor. The City Council meeting is an opportunity for council to consider initiating the 2026 adoption package for the Urban Growth Strategies, UGS, as heard about at your November 12th work session. Components of the adoption package include the comprehensive plan, metro plan, and land use code amendments that respond to state mandates for housing and urban growth planning and council direction for concurrent planning for all urban uses, including employment and public uses. Initiation of such amendments does not infer that City Council will support the amendments, but rather begins the public process through which the Planning Commission and the council will consider the merits of the amendments. If you have any questions tonight, both Terry Harding and Alyssa Hunter are in attendance and would be happy to follow up.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Seeing none, I will turn to the council president to put a motion forward.
I move to initiate the proposed 2026 package of land use plan and code amendments for urban growth strategies, including amendments to the Envision Eugene Comprehensive Plan, adoption of a parcel-specific land use designation map, amendments to the Eugene Springfield Metropolitan Area General Plan, and adopted refinement plans, and amendments to Chapter 9 of the Eugene Code to remove barriers and increase development capacity for housing and jobs, to encourage compact development, and to designate climate-friendly areas.
Any discussion from council? I just have a quick clarifying question that staff, I think, would be most suited to answer. Thank you. I see Terry Harding coming out to the front. Terry, it's just a question for you to be able to offer information to us and to the public that at our last council meeting, there was a fairly extensive discussion around some specific workforce housing related actions. And I'm just curious if you can frame how those are situated relative to this coming work.
Sure. Terry Harding, Planning and Development Department. So the package of amendments that you're initiating tonight will include actions to remove barriers in the code to increase housing, such as allowing different kinds of housing, such as micro-village housing. That's one of the actions we have on the list. And just by initiating them tonight, you'll be opening the process for public comment on all of them. We don't have the specifics written yet because we're still at the beginning of the process. So this is the first step in a process that will take amendments to code or plans through both Planning Commission public hearings and deliberations and council public hearings and deliberations, and also many of them will go through Lane County as well.
Thank you. Thank you for offering more context to the work that is ahead, in part because of those many touch points. Very appreciated. Any other discussion or questions from council? Seeing none, I'll now take a vote for this motion. Councilors, please lock in your votes on the tablets in front of you. Councilor Keating, I see your vote, and the motion passes. Vote of 8-0. Thank you for the analog follow-up, Councilor Leach. Thank you. That concludes our sixth agenda item. The last item on tonight's agenda is the public comment period. Public comment period is an opportunity for individuals to speak to the City Council on any city-related issues except for those items which have already been heard by hearings official. Staff, can you please share the list and the number of speakers that signed up to speak by 7:30 p.m. and announce the first speakers?
Thank you, Mayor. We have 46 speakers signed up tonight. As a reminder, public comment will be limited to 90 minutes or conclude by 10 p.m., whichever occurs first. I will announce 2 speakers' names at a time. When you are called to speak, please state your name and your ward or neighborhood if known before beginning your comments. When you are announced as the next speaker, please move to the seat in the front row designated for the next speaker. When it is your turn, you may come to the podium. Please leave any bags you may have with you at your seat. If you have documents to give council, please place them in the basket near the podium. You will have 2.5 minutes to speak. The timer will flash red when you have 15 seconds remaining to speak. Your microphone will be muted at the 2.5-minute mark. Please note that use of profanity is prohibited, and any instances of profanity will result in immediate termination of speaking privileges. Our first speakers this evening are Ralph Liam McDonald, followed by Lynn Woodrich.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and City Manager. Ralph Liam McDonald. I'm a resident of Ward 2, Matt Keating's ward. I'm here this evening presenting a resolution passed by the Southwest Hills Neighborhood Association, an association representing some 6,000 households in South Eugene. The resolution to City Council regarding flock public surveillance systems. Whereas the Oregon Constitution is widely regarded as providing protections above and beyond the federal U.S. Constitution for citizen privacy and for prohibiting government search intrusion not authorized by court order, therefore be it resolved that the Sheena Board, 1, extends our thank you to the Eugene City Council for the current suspension of active surveillance through the flock camera system. 2, Sheena requests that the City of Eugene, through the City Council, solicit an opinion from the Oregon Attorney General regarding the legality of flock surveillance under the specific relevant sections of the Oregon Constitution. The above resolution was approved by the Southwest Hills Neighborhood Association Board, the Sheena Board, on November 18th, 2025. Thank you.
Thank you,
I have
Ralph.
copies of the resolution I'd like to hand out.
In that basket would be appropriate. Thank you, Ralph.
Also, Amazon is a travesty.
Ralph, our next speakers are Lynn Woodrich, followed by Christina Began.
My name's Lynn Woodrich. I'm the active Bethel Community Co-Chair. I've lived in the Bethel area over 30 years. I live in Ward 8. I'm speaking for the active Bethel Community Board. The Public Health Standards is meant to safeguard the public. Without having it put into place soon, the result can be projects that threaten our air and water quality, undermine climate goals, lower home values, and erode neighborhood livability. The prime example is the biofuels transfer station and the fuel tank farm location in the Train Song neighborhood. The City Council's direction to the Planning Commission was to move forward with code amendments related to improving coordination with public health agencies. I believe the version 3 option that was presented at the last Planning Commission meeting meets that first goal. The last day for public comments on this version is December 2nd at 5 p.m. It reads, prior to city approval of any development permit for development on property located in the E2, I2, or I3 zones, the applicant shall submit 1, documentation identifying all air, land, and water permits required for the proposed development. The documentation shall include an attestation by the applicant that the listed air, land, and water permits are the only air, land, and water permits required for the proposed development, or 2, documentation attesting that no air, land, and water permits are required for the proposed development. 3, the city shall provide notice of the proposed development to the EPA, DEQ, and LRAPA. The notice shall include, but is not limited to, the following information. 1, address or location info. 2, map and tax lots for subject property. 3, development permit info, including scope. And 4, the information provided by the applicant referenced above. I believe there should also be a box to check that they have communicated with the agencies involved, the date of their meetings, and copies of documentation. The version 3 of the Public Health Standards is a good first step to approve, but where are we with the study of health data that's part 2? Are the researchers in Michigan going to come to Eugene to interview the residents who've been impacted by the polluters? We must move quickly so we don't have another J.H. Baxter-type business located near homes, schools, daycares, et cetera. Public health standards need to be included in our comprehensive plan to help make land use decisions that truly protect our air, water, and neighborhoods. Together, we can make development in our city both responsible and resilient. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Our next speakers are Christina Began, followed by Bill O'Brien.
Good evening. I'm Christina, and I am a PhD student in environmental studies and sociology at the University of Oregon, and I'm also a member of GTFF, the Graduate Employee Union on campus, and I'm also here with many other GTFF members who will speak to similar things that I'm about to share, and I am also a resident of Ward 2. I am here tonight to ask that you do everything in your power to prevent the occupation of our city by two pernicious and powerful corporations, Amazon and Flock Security. I ask that you prevent construction of an Amazon warehouse in West Eugene and that you cancel the city's contract with Flock Security and remove Flock cameras as soon as possible. The Amazon warehouse will pollute our air and pave over wetland and farmland, and its warehouse jobs are dangerous and unstable. If the council wishes to create jobs, they should partner with corporations that protect the environment and respect workers' rights to unionize, to take breaks, and to work safely without surveillance. The Flock cameras conduct dragnet surveillance that violates our rights to privacy. You have heard many times now about how Flock collaborates with ICE to facilitate the abduction of immigrants and is fundamentally insecure in its data storage practices, willfully exposing and providing our locations to agencies that have the means and motive to harm us. Amazon and Flock are connected. Their appearance in our town is the result of powerful corporations ignoring our rights to self-governance and of local governance procedures that are fundamentally undemocratic and readily exploitable by such corporations. They are both broadly and viscerally unpopular, and the council's inability or unwillingness to take action on these issues delegitimizes the city government as able representatives of the will of the people. You should take swift action on these issues to restore the city's faith in your ability to represent and execute our interests. Please revoke Amazon's permissions to build its facility in West Eugene and quickly cancel the contract with Flock and remove the cameras. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Our next speakers are Bill O'Brien, followed by Anna L.
Just a point of order, it's 8 o'clock and I'm the third speaker. And there's a lot of other people that want to talk, And so they want to talk about a Trojan horse, most of them, So they should be able to talk about a Trojan horse. They love animals. They love the earth, This Amazon Flock, Palantir, it's all a circular loop. That's what the computer programmers, hardware, that's what they say. So they know what they're talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about to some degree. I just know that I live in the Silicon Valley. It's high tech. High tech is, there's no, it's not checked. There's no Taft-Hartley Act to modify it, to let other people in on the game. And the way I look at it, your zoning of building a structure in the airport, in the urban growth area boundary, you have atrocious zoning for it. You can just show up and you put signs, and there you go. And then you can tell some neighbors or post it somewhere on the internet or newspaper, and who's going to show up? No one showed up. That's from the Eugene Weekly. Tonight, I made calls to KVAL, KZI, KLCC. I gave up. KVAL was the only one I had an intelligent discussion with, and the Eugene Weekly, I'll say that. Maybe there's Lookout, maybe they're wonderful. There's other news sources here now that are coming up. It's wonderful. Just basically what you're doing is right here. I mean, I could go on and on. I only got 32 seconds left. Amazon, IBM, build China's surveillance state brick by brick. U.S. government allowed and even helped U.S. firms sell tech used for surveillance in China. It's Amazon, Amazon, Bezos' net worth is $255 billion. He gets paid as Amazon, whether he's a CEO or has some role in it, a paltry amount. There's so much money. And then you got the Trump administration.
Thank you, Bill. Our next speakers are Anna L., followed by Lucienne Fisher.
Thank you, City Council. Thank you, Mayor. My name is Anna. I'm an organizer for Trans Alliance of Lane County and also do immigrant defense work across the county. I want to start by reading a quote from your 2023 through 26 strategic plan, which focuses on promoting a culture of belonging throughout the city. We are cultivating a community where everyone feels included, respected, and valued as they are. A community uplifting the diversity of identities and experiences to provide equitable access to resources and opportunity. Later in the document, you have a strategic goal listed. Number 2 on that page is strengthening relationships with the whole community with emphasis on the inclusion of the most marginalized groups. In the last month and a half, hundreds of Oregonians have been kidnapped by ICE. They have been taken from Beltline. They have been taken while they were trying to get foraging permits in Springfield. They have been taken from coffee shops. They have been taken from their homes. They have been taken by ICE agents who stake out their cars and follow them and stop them on the side of the road away from their families. Those people are denied due process. This should be the only thing the City Council is talking about right now. We are in the equivalent of 1930s Germany. If you ever were to ask yourself, what would I have done in 1930s Germany, you need only look at what you're doing now, because that's what you would have done then. Many in this room have done a lot, and I know many of you up on the dais have also done various activities to support and have made commitments to do other activities to support. Flock needs to be at the top of this list. There are still egregious loopholes, even in the amended AL Police Committee, which I just read after Monsieur's comments, and actions. ICE and DHS routinely criminal U.S. pursue activists and immigrants. The 17-year-old that was taken from his car after the window got smashed, when he said, agent said, "I don't care," and dragged him out, they're charging him with a crime. It is a crime. They're alleging that person committed a crime. Can you imagine if city flock cameras were used to pursue a 17 DHS trumped up crime here? Get rid of the cameras. Do not do this to our city.
Anna. Our next speakers are Lucienne Fisher, Lazara.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lucienne. I live in Ward 3, and I'm an undergraduate global studies student at the U of O and a part of Climate Justice League. I'm here supporting both the termination and removal of the flock cameras, as well as protesting the building of the Amazon Warehouse Center in West Eugene. Over the last couple of months, my friend Hannah and I have had the opportunity to become a part of the group advocating against this Amazon Center. We have built connections, sat in living rooms, talked with friends, started discussions, encouraged boycotts, all with the goal of stopping this warehouse. This experience, being a part of this group, fully encapsulates the community that I think Eugene does so perfectly and why I love this city so much. But this warehouse is so dangerous for our city, and something that is especially important to me is making clear how dangerous it is to work at the center. I know this from personal accounts. I am from Phoenix, Arizona, a city whose first Amazon warehouse was built in 2007, and these warehouses are now a part of our economy and job market. During my time there, I knew many people who worked at these warehouses in hopes of getting money easy and fast. But these conditions
trust you to make the next steps. In terms of Amazon, this new building project will be a burden on Eugene. Amazon comes so that it can take. It will do everything it can to undermine the authority of the city council, as we've already seen with their shady permit process. Letting them into our city will be a decision you regret every time they come knocking on your door. Thank you.
Thank you, Hudson. Our next speakers are Glenn O., followed by Connie Peabody.
Hi, thank you for your time. This last week, we've had countless abductions, over 20 people taken from Springfield, Eugene area. In the last 2 weeks, I think we're over like 30 or 40. And it's just so egregious that we haven't had anything like to be done about it. You know, there's just people getting taken. These people can't go home, talk to their kids, tell them that they're okay until they get up to Tacoma. And it's really gross that they are just a few blocks away from here. Flock cameras are such an invasion of privacy. There's current records saying that, you know, the FBI and other agencies use them with different cities for tracking, like No Kings activity, activity for other protests, and tracking the people who attended those. In Washington, there was a recent judgment by, for a court case saying that flock camera follows under public records and can be requested. So if that, you know, stays and goes through, then obviously that would set a precedent here too as well, right? These cameras track everything that we do, and the fact that we already know, you know, we've had countless people up here showing data security breaches, loopholes in contracts. Like, it is just astounding at how much information we have came up here and shown and pointed out. And I'm thankful that they're turned off, but I'm honestly very surprised that they're not down yet. I think that in order to show, you know, trust, and in order to give us a way to have faith in our, you know, leaders in our community, we need to be able to protect everyone, and keeping those up and is just not the way to do it. Yeah, it's gross. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. Our next speakers are Connie Peabody, followed by Madison Fowler. Is there a Connie Peabody in the room? Okay, I will call the next speaker and call for Connie one more time. Our next speaker is Madison Fowler.
Hello, my name is Madison Fowler, and I live in Ward 2. I am a PhD candidate in Environmental Studies and English at the University of Oregon. I'm also a department steward and the co-chair of the Environmental Justice Caucus for the Graduate Teaching Fellows Federation, AFD Local 3544. As you may anticipate, I am here tonight to encourage you to reject the construction of the Amazon warehouse in West Eugene, to terminate the city's contract with Flock Security, and to remove all Flock cameras. The Amazon warehouse will pollute our community and is guaranteed to undermine worker rights. Flock cameras violate our rights to privacy, and indeed, you have heard many times now how Flock collaborates with ICE to abduct and brutalize our neighbors. We cannot be silent about this. Amazon and Flock are connected. The nexus of surveillance technology and environmental exploitation is a well-known reality in my field, and it is a direct threat to our community. This is an environmental justice issue. You began this meeting with an acknowledgement that this is Kalapuya Ilahi. The violent ideologies that relegated and restricted Indigenous peoples to reservations and continue to attempt to rupture Indigenous environmental kinship relations are the same violent ideologies that justify bringing an Amazon warehouse to Eugene and maintaining the Flock security contract. I urge you, do not allow Amazon to build a facility in West Eugene or anywhere in the city. Terminate the contract with Flock and remove all Flock cameras. Thank you.
Thank you, Madison. One last call for Connie Peabody. All right, our next speakers are Shelley Devine, followed by John Brockman.
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to say from the report on the reduction in funding for the Housing and Poverty Program, that's directly correlated to the federal crime syndicate regime's agenda to criminalize the poor and unhoused. So this is the system by which these folks will be fed into the system of mass incarceration. And the corporations that build and fill the detention centers are in direct league with the likes of ICE, Flock, and Amazon. We say no flocking way to any of it. We insist you impeach, convict, and remove all ties to Flock and Amazon. So we don't get to sit up here and talk about protecting our immigrant neighbors on one hand, while also allowing an Amazon warehouse to set up shop on the other. Eugene espouses to value the dignity and worth of all human beings, and Amazon and Flock, by definition and practice, do not. The fact is, Amazon Web Services is a prime driver of Immigration and Customs Enforcement's incarceration and deportation regime by providing ICE with a host of data storage services. Amazon has built a revolving door with the U.S. government to entrench Silicon Valley's role in expanding the acceleration of ICE's surveillance, data accumulation, arrest, imprisonment, and deportation of immigrants, and anyone they don't like for that matter. ICE cannot wage its war against immigrants without the critical infrastructure support provided by tech corporations like Amazon. And Amazon gets richer from ICE's deportation machine by further entrenching the cloud industrial complex, a lucrative public-private partnership between industry, lobbyists, key federal legislators, tech executives, and former tech executives turned government officials and vice versa. It's a mutually beneficial operation of corruption and exploitation at the expense of people, namely their workers and U.S. taxpayers. Currently, approximately 10% of the DHS's $44 billion budget is dedicated to data management. Amazon is also enriched by supporting the development of systems that allow the U.S. government to target and punish en masse those which the fascist oligarch Trump regime has deemed undesirable.
Thank you, Shelley. Our next speakers are John Brockman, followed by Mark Peabody.
Thank you. My name is John Brockman. I live in the 7th Ward. I'm retired. And all I know about Amazon I've learned from national news. And to me, it looks like they're one of the top 3 oligarchs in the nation, which have inordinate amounts of power over our national government and all the local governments around. And I don't think they pay their fair share of taxes, and I think their presence in our community would greatly diminish the quality of our lives. They were one of the earliest oligarchs to capitulate to fascism, and I'm against their presence in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Our next speakers are Mark Peabody, followed by Sue Craig.
Hi, I'm Mark. I am from Ward 8. I'm urging you to not approve the construction of the Amazon warehouse project. Jeff Bezos is the 3rd richest person in the world. He makes between $215 and $320 million every day by selling Americans cheaper foreign-made products and undercutting American-made goods. Amazon's low pay scale means that 1/3 of their workers use some form of public assistance benefits like SNAP. Bezos' Amazon empire is designed to use convenience as a way to force local businesses to close because they can't compete with his large volume buying practices and home delivery methods. Now he wants to build an Amazon warehouse by the county airport. Internal Amazon documents show that Bezos' plan is to ultimately reduce his workforce by 75% and replace workers with automation. The proposed warehouse plan requires destroying 84 to 85 acres of our cherished Willamette Valley farmland to build a 300,000 square foot building. The proposed site would require filling in our precious and ever-diminishing wetlands. Amazon's own plan states that the warehouse would add 2,592 additional vehicle trips per day on both rural roads and Highway 99. Anybody who has driven to Jerry's Home Improvement Center knows that 99 is already a traffic bottleneck and that local roads were never designed for this amount of daily traffic. People choose to live and travel to Oregon because of the amazing natural environment that we all love. California once had this same natural beauty, but it was ripped away by speculators, greed, corruption, and leaders looking for short-term gains. Their leaders traded away rich farmlands, forests and oak savannas for urban sprawl, blight, polluted water, and poor air quality. Don't destroy this beautiful state, this city, the businesses we love by caving in to Jeff Bezos, whose only goal is ever more personal wealth at the expense of the American people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Our next speakers are Sue Craig, followed by Nancy Honert.
Thank you all for listening again. And you've heard it all about Amazon. I'm Sue Craig. I'm in Evans Department of 6. And I am very concerned about Amazon for all the same reasons that you've already heard. And I understand, I'm not quite sure where I read this, but they are planning to go robot by 2030. And so all the people that they will be hiring will be replaced by robots. And they kind of use the people they have right now kind of as robots, from what I understand. At any rate, in addition to that, what I have been seeing is I went to my the place that I order swimsuits from, and they are now on Amazon. And the swimsuits the swimsuit particular one that I used to get is on Amazon for about $10 cheaper than what I got it for 2 years ago. The problem is that if I wanted to order it from the company that made them in the first place, I would pay $40 more if I went with that company, which lets me guess that the company is not making what they used to make, and if they try to sell it another way, it's not going to work well at all. And so I just feel that Amazon kind of, they're much too overpowering, to put it mildly. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Sue. Our next speakers are Nancy Honert, followed by Scott Lambert.
I'm Nancy Honert, Ward 2. I'm also giving you a hard copy of my testimony containing the sources of this information. I'm here because I dread the thought of an Amazon warehouse in Eugene and want to urge you to work diligently and forcefully with the community to keep that from happening. Amazon is deeply involved in the attempted federal autocracy. Amazon contributed $1 million to Trump's inauguration and is making a substantial amount not disclosed contribution to Trump's billionaire ballroom. And the ballroom, so-called donation, is tax deductible. Amazon Wireless Services, or AWS, does the data storage for ICE, the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency. This enables ICE to store people's personal data and call it up in ways they couldn't do without Amazon's system. Amazon's AWS also stores data for Israel's war in Gaza. According to the Israeli magazine Plus 972, and I quote, according to 3 intelligence sources, the Army's cooperation with AWS is particularly close. The cloud giant provides Israel's military intelligence directorate with a server farm which is used to store masses of intelligence information that assists the Army in the war. Amazon is also a very efficient conduit of vast amounts of money to Jeff Bezos, owner of Amazon, who is not just an ostentatious spender and a supporter of a would-be dictatorship, but is one of the central oligarchs himself. Amazon is clearly a company without morals, a bad actor. I certainly don't want them in my backyard. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Our next speakers are Scott Lambert, followed by Howard Newman.
Good evening, Council. Good evening, Mayor.
My name is Scott Lambert. I'm a member of GTFF 3544, graduate student in physics at the U of O. I've been coming since September. You all probably recognize me at this point. Many of us here have been coming since then, and there are still new people coming. I hope this shows you how important the issues of Flock and Amazon are to the residents of our city. In the past, I've stated facts, as I'm kind of inclined to do as a science PhD student, but tonight I'm just going to tell you how I feel. Whenever I see news of an abduction, I feel sick to my stomach. I can't focus on my research. I can't focus on my day-to-day life. And whenever I see one of those Flock cameras, I dodge around it and I want to smash the thing. I'm sorry. Whenever I think about how easily Amazon and Flock have bought their way into our city, I feel despondent at how simple it was for them, for these ultra-rich individuals who are behind these companies, to ignore the will of thousands of residents and ignore any semblance of a democratic process. And when I think about how we're spending money on Flock cameras while people are freezing in the streets at night, like there's a guy who is like I bike by him every night. I've biked by him for like 6 nights, and every night I'm like, hey, like, do you need a blanket? Do you need like anything? Like, I shouldn't have to pay my money for that. Like, this is something the city should be doing. So when I see that, I feel fury. When I think about how we are about to enter into a business relationship with a company that provides services to the Israeli government in the midst of its genocide, and when I think about all the people, some of whom are in your shoes, who threw up their hands as bombs fell on innocent people, I feel rage. I feel a righteous rage. Please cancel the contract like 2 weeks ago. And any business relationship with Amazon, they are only bad news.
Thank you, Scott. Our next speakers are Howard Newman, followed by Cody Rosenberg.
Greetings, my name's Howard. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the warehouse, not a human was stirring, not even that Bezos louse. For you see, all those people had just been replaced by androids who wandered all over the place. They were sorting and loading and cruising around, no dinner needed, no break time allowed. Yet gather they did towards the loading dock door to wait for instructions from their supervisor. But the foreman of bots could not find his voice. Buying his chip from China was such a bad choice. So there he lumbered, mute as Marceau, with his 8 little bots wondering where they should go. When all of a sudden came a voice from above, I used to work here, let me show you some love. There up in the rafters sat an elf gently sighing. If you listen quite closely, you might hear him crying. Yes, I used to work here. It wasn't much fun. The powers that be kept us under the gun. We sweated and fretted. Turnover was great. This place was cursed with high injury rates. And boy, were you pressured with productivity quotas, lest you be kicked to the curb without an iota of thanks for your work or pay in your pocket. Jeff's too busy with his Blue Origin rocket. And the hundreds of trucks that delivered the goods spewed fossil fuels that stank up our woods and clogged our highways till gridlock ensued, so heart attack patients could not get through. Need I go on? I bet you get the point. This Amazon warehouse was no cool joint. And now here it is, Christmas Eve, tick, tick, tick. The kids in Lane County deserve better than this. So I've returned with my band of elves to get these gifts out, to empty those shelves. And you little machines, you soulless claptraps, even you deserve better than this Amazon rap. So go Bolty, go Sparky, go All Thumbs, go Squeaky, go Rusty, go Tin Man, go Jerky, go Freaky. Your freedom's at hand, now roll out of sight. Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
Thank you, Howard. Our next speakers are Cody Rosenberg, followed by Hannah Diebert.
Hello, all. I'm a teacher, and I live in Ward 5. On November 5th, my wife was a witness to an ICE kidnapping in Ward 5. She was stunned by what she was seeing and went into fight or flight. She was listening to Mexican music on her headphones. She wondered if these fascist Gestapo foot soldiers might hear it somehow and then stop and question her. Would they somehow find out that her last name was Spanish? Her fear was real, and she wasn't even being kidnapped. I have no idea what it must be like for someone to be pounced on and illegally detained by these fascists, and my heart goes out to the families of those she saw being detained. I know many of you signed the letter of support Val Hoyle put out on November 6th, which read in part, "Every Oregonian and every person in the United States, regardless of immigration status, is entitled to the full protections guaranteed by the Constitution. We will use all tools at our disposal as representatives of this community to ensure that those protections are upheld for the individuals detained today and for any Oregonian subjected to unjust or unlawful enforcement actions by ICE." I am wondering what tools you have at your disposal that would stop ICE kidnappings. I am wondering, in a sanctuary state, what the police normally do when there's a report of a kidnapping in progress. That seems like an emergency. It seems like armed, masked feds who oftentimes don't even have warrants or who often don't even identify themselves are driving around kidnapping our people. I mean, it seems like a case of serial kidnappers. It seems to me that we do have tools at our disposal to deal with a kidnapping ring in our community. I'm pretty sure we even have detectives whose job description might include investigating serial kidnappers. I have to wonder if these fascists were going around snatching little white girls off the street, let's say bullying Stephen Miller on social media was their crime, would the city then use the tools at their disposal to ensure they were protected? Now, FLOC. I know you all read 1984. I know you know that FLOC is just the beginning of a mass surveillance state. Stop. And finally, Amazon. We already have Whole Foods. By the way, stop shopping at Whole Foods. Go to the Kiva, go to the farmer's market. And now you want to bring in more Jeff Bezos business into our town? There's nothing good about what this guy is doing and anything he stands for. Don't poison our city with anything connected with billionaire oligarch. Thank you.
Our next speakers are Hannah Diebert, followed by Drusilla Winters.
Good evening, City Council. I'm a neuroscience student at the University of Oregon and also part of Climate Justice League. And I was here last meeting to ask you to cancel the FLOC contract and to stop the Amazon facility, and here I am again. The biggest argument I've seen in favor of the Amazon Center is that it will bring jobs to Eugene. And I understand Eugene needs jobs, so I ask, have you ensured that these will be valuable and supportive jobs for our community? In San Diego, the county supervisor required that the proposed Amazon Center provide stronger worker protections like paid sick leave. When Amazon heard about this, they canceled the facility. I implore you to consider why, and encourage you to implement similar worker protections at the Amazon Center. I encourage you to protect the safety of our community by canceling the FLOC contract. In Texas, FLOC cameras were used to track down a woman who got an abortion. In Washington, FLOC cameras were used by ICE to kidnap people. Please keep our community safe. Take the cameras down and keep Amazon out. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. Our next speakers are Drusilla Winters, followed by Josh Easterland.
My name is Drusilla Winters. Pardon me. I'm not from Eugene. I'm from the surrounding community, but the decisions you make influence us. Although my remarks are intended for all of you, I'm going to address them to Councilor Evans because according to an article in the Eugene Weekly, he is supportive of the Amazon warehouse because it will bring jobs and taxes to our community. If Councilor Evans thinks, and he said that this would be jobs for our Bethel High School graduates, if he thinks that's the kind of jobs our Bethel High School graduates should aspire to, dangerous, low-paying jobs, I don't feel he deserves a place on the board. And that's a quote from him. I disagree very strongly with what he said. The jobs that the warehouse will bring are dangerous, low-paying jobs with higher than industry average injury rate. And the promise of ending its robotics as soon as robotics has been shown to be capable of doing the work. I was unable to find any data on the taxes that Eugene would receive from the Amazon warehouse. So I looked at the taxes that Salem is receiving for their Amazon warehouse. They currently receive $91,364 a year. It will go up to $1.6 million. That's less than 2% of the Eugene City budget. Is it really worth it? The question is, by allowing the warehouse, what are we giving up? And I think you've heard what we're giving up. We're giving up wetlands, we're giving up farmlands, we're supporting a corporation that is driving out local businesses. If the warehouse is built, it will drive out more local businesses. We're supporting an organization that's providing infrastructure and support services to ICE. By doing this, we're helping deport our neighbors. We're supporting a corporation that is contracted to provide $1.2 billion in services, supporting the genocide in Gaza. We're supporting a monopoly known for its anti-union activities. It will increase our traffic on Highway 99 by 15%.
Thank you, Drusilla. Your time is concluded. Our next speakers are Josh Easterland, followed by Steve Yamamori.
Hello, City Councilors. Nice to see you all again. I'm Josh Easterland, Director of Equitable Access Eugene, Ward 8. Here to request that you consider decriminalizing the ability to grow, gather, and gift psychedelic plants and fungi here within the city limits of Eugene. I'm almost done reading the resolution. So further resolved that the mayor and city council hereby declare that the investigation and arrest of adult persons for gathering, planting, cultivating, gifting, distributing, transporting, and engaging in practices with and or possessing entheogenic plants or plant compounds shall be among the lowest priority of law enforcement. And be it further resolved that the mayor and city council call upon the Lane County DA to cease prosecution of persons involved in the use of entheogenic plants or plant-based compounds, and be it further resolved that if any provision of this resolution is declared by a court or competent jurisdiction to be contrary to any statute or regulation or judicial decision or its applicability to any agency, person, or circumstance is held invalid, the validity of the remainder of the resolution and its applicability to any other agency or person or circumstance shall not be affected. Whew, we did it. That took many, many times. Thanks for hanging in there. What you might have noticed was that the whereas section was over about 2.5 times as long as the resolve section. And I think that's because there are countless reasons why decriminalization is important, and it's pretty easy to make the process happen. To summarize, psychedelics treat substance abuse, addiction, criminal recidivism, trauma, PTSD symptoms, chronic depression, end-of-life anxiety, grief, cluster headaches, and more. And notice that those are often interrelated. They've existed alongside humans and nature for as long as we've been humans and nature, and they're connected to spiritual practices globally. And it's as easy as directing the city to stop spending resources to investigate, detain, arrest, or prosecute alleged violators. And that's how over 25 other cities have done exactly the same thing. And I hope to talk to you more about it in the future. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Josh. Our next speakers are Steve Yamamori, followed by Deborah McGee.
Good evening. Mrs. Mayor, member of council, my name is Steve Yamamori. I live in Ward 5. I just wanted to voice my appreciation. I'm the president of the Reveille Foundation, and I just wanted to appreciate the action tonight and also the amazing work that your staff has done to help our small nonprofit understand tax abatement and our movement from one tax abatement to another tax abatement, which will hopefully help us retain our expertise, lower our cost for rent, and be able to help us with our homeless veterans and be able to support the deflection program, which you mentioned earlier today. So just my appreciation for the movement tonight and the action tonight, and I'll yield the rest of my time. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Our next speakers are Deborah McGee, followed by Francis Starr O'Leary.
Good evening, Mayor and councilors. My name is Deborah McGee, and I've lived in the county for 43 years. Eugene is my hometown. Thank you for taking the time to hear the concerns of the people. I'm sad to report that opportunities for public participation are being undermined. an ominous sign of democratic backsliding. I've been an active citizen organizer for social and environmental justice for most of my adult life, and I've been speaking to you in this forum for as many years. This last year has been catastrophic for our environment and our democracy. The lawless looting of our natural treasures and national treasury are happening at breathtaking pace. Violence, intimidation, lies, and pillage are the order of the day. People are deeply disappointed. People are deeply disturbed. People know our society is unraveling, and they know it is because of the billionaire class that is calling the shots. Who sticks up for working people? Who is making sure our air and water are safe and clean? Who is stopping projects that don't conform to community standards and values? Why is the Amazon warehouse going forward without real public participation? Their public participation has been a sham. When are we going to stop paving over the precious wetlands? When are we going to stop adding air pollution to our airshed? And when is Eugene going to take seriously reaching the goals of the Climate Action Plan and the promise to our children of a livable future in the Climate Recovery Ordinance? How does Amazon affect our climate goals? Government leaders must, above all, protect and serve the people they were elected by, and that doesn't feel like it's happening. Sadly, we see that our best efforts have not persuaded governments to provide for the welfare of the people, so what are our choices? We are sleepwalking off the cliff, and it's getting too late to turn back. We have a narrow window of opportunity and time, and the people are kicking into gear, the gear of civil resistance and non-cooperation. That is what you're seeing, and more is coming. I hope you will be bold and stand with the people.
Thank you, Deborah. Our next speakers are Francis Starr O'Leary, followed by Claire Nelly.
Hi there, I'm Francis. I'm here today to speak out against the use of flock cameras or any other mass surveillance tool in Eugene. First and foremost, I want to thank the City Council for listening to the public outcry and turning off the cameras. That's a great first step. I think that we can all agree on that. And ultimately, I think that the next step is to remove the cameras and put in place safeguards to prevent this type of mass surveillance in the future. In preparing my remarks today, I was reading some of the history and the press coverage of this decision and how flock has been instituted elsewhere, and I read an article in KLCC from last month that I wanted to respond to. There were a couple of quotes in there. Councilmember Kaczynski was quoted as being concerned with how the surveillance technology could be weaponized against members of the LGBTQ community and immigrant communities. I'm also going to throw in their family members and descendants of immigrants. In the same article, Councilmember Zelenka said that he doesn't trust flock or the Trump administration. I can completely agree with that. These are my exact concerns. But the issue is that it doesn't end there. Just turning them off is just the first step. Like I said, you're in this unenviable position where people are going to try to get away with what you let them. So as long as you leave these in place, later on someone might come by and abuse that power. I believe that the council will prevent the local law enforcement from abusing it, but you have seen so much overreach from these other law enforcement agencies that I think it would be foolish to assume that they won't try to use every tool at their disposal, a tool that you are leaving available to them by not removing these cameras. So to reiterate, I think that great first step, we all applaud you for that, or at least I do, but the next step is taking them down and then putting something in place so that we can't all be surprised when suddenly we have to mobilize against mass surveillance in the future. And with my last few seconds, I used to be a letter carrier. Amazon is not creating jobs. They're going to take good union postal jobs and give them to other people for less wages and less protections. Thank you.
Thank you, Francis. Our next speakers are Claire Nelly, followed by Charmaine Landing.
Good evening, counselors and mayor. My name's Claire Nelly, and I'm a physics graduate student at the University of Oregon, and I'm a proud member of the GTFF. And I oppose the infiltration of Flock and the Amazon corporations into our community. As a proud member of a workers' union, I can attest that Eugene is a union town, and the union-busting, money-hungry Amazon corporation has no place here. And as a scholar of science, I do not support Amazon building a warehouse on wetlands. People who listen to science know how detrimental that will be to this whole valley. Finally, I am disappointed as a member of this community that flock cameras, which target our community members, were ever installed in the first place. These cameras must be removed, and Amazon's permissions to build their facility must be revoked. Thank you for your time, and please listen to the voices of your local unions.
Thank you, Claire. Our next speakers are Charmaine Landing, followed by Cameron Stringfield.
Good evening. I'm Charmaine Landing, a Leen County resident. Amazon prides itself on getting leaner, faster, and more tech-savvy to fine-tune their supply chain. They've opened and closed centers as demand requires and plan to replace workers with robots. Recently, they received FAA permission for drone deliveries to be added to their same-day delivery arsenal. Not only will warehouse workers be replaced, but delivery drivers too. No long-term jobs here. I want to remind you of the Clear Lake overlay, developed by city participants and approved by you to be part of the municipal code for this property. It calls for economic prosperity, increased employment opportunities, sustainability, and adherence to community values. But there's a large chasm between that vision and what Amazon will bring. Several smaller cities have already said no to such distribution centers. They cite concerns over traffic, environment, and pollution impacts and low-quality jobs. Many felt the cost outweighed the benefits promised. A tale of what can go wrong dealing with such a mega corporation is that of Humble, Texas. Their warehouse accommodates 80 to 100 18-wheeled trucks per day. But in a glitch of Amazon's dispatching system last November, 1,000 18-wheelers were sent, clogging local neighborhoods. The worst part was it took 1.5 days to reach someone who could finally stop the onslaught. A state of emergency was issued. Eugene's system is to establish standards, like in the Clear Lake overlay, and codes, and apply them to any developer. The city's role is to make sure everything is followed. Currently, Amazon may be meeting required codes, but I argue that they are absolutely not meeting the standards. The word for today, November 24th, on vocabulary.com, just happens to be the word prudent, defined as acting with or showing care and thought for the future. So I urge you to act with care and thought for Eugene's future and enforce the Clear Lake overlay. We deserve better than flash-in-the-pan jobs and environmental strain Amazon is offering. Thank you.
Thank you, Charmaine. Our next speakers are Cameron Stringfield, followed by Faye Rackford.
Good evening. My name is Cameron Stringfield. I live in Ward 7, and I'm a member of the Party for Socialism and Liberation. I'm here tonight to talk about the recent ICE activity in Eugene and Lane County. First of all, thank you to Mayor Knudsen, as well as Councilors Ye and Leach, for your statements about recent ICE kidnappings. However, you've given us great words, but they are nothing if not backed by action. You must recognize that this is a state of emergency. Recently, Woodburn, Hillsborough, and Portland all recently declared a state of emergency and took necessary steps to combat Trump's deportation agenda. I'm calling on you to do that. Declare a state of emergency related to the impacts of federal immigration enforcement. These families need support right now. Put the money where your mouth is and pass an emergency response fund for families impacted by the deportations. We also need to stop allowing ICE to be above the law and stop giving them the tools they need to carry out their agenda. Require ICE agents in Eugene to identify themselves and have EPD enforce all traffic and criminal violations by ICE agents. End the use of unmarked and undercover vehicles for the Eugene Police Department, which is creating significant and unnecessary fear in our community right now. Obviously, terminate the contract with Flock Safety, a company which has shown time and time again that they do not mind aiding ICE and other federal agencies and going after our neighbors, regardless of safeguards. And stop the Amazon facility from coming here and divest from any financial connections to Amazon, a company I asked this city to divest from last year because of its ties to Israel and the genocide in Gaza. Lastly, join us Tuesday at the federal building, at the ICE field office, stand side by side with your community members who are being brutalized and arrested for defending our neighbors. Be leaders, not figureheads. More could be said for sure. The point is that if Eugene is actually against Trump's racist, xenophobic efforts, and if they actually want to protect our immigrant neighbors, then they need to take real action and show no fear in combating Trump. To be complicit in this is almost just as bad as being the perpetrator.
Thank you, Cameron. Our next speakers are Faye Rackford, followed by Ken Willis.
Good evening. I am here to address the Amazon issue. First, I'd like to address the energy that it would take to operate that facility. The skyrocketing electric rates that would be inflicted on all who are served by our local utilities, and the demand of such a facility would inevitably affect future costs to all. The Amazon Distribution Center is a gateway drug to the data center, and the power it takes to run such a center in electricity and our precious water supply. That should be one of the biggest issues for all of us. Any vehicle that is going to be delivered, are they going to be electric? As they should be. This, again, is a potential draw on the resources and infrastructure. If Amazon is committed to providing renewable solar power to run all of their operations, have they committed to that? Next is the pollution. Eugene has been noted to have some of the worst air pollution in the country. Do we really need to add that many vehicles to the road in a form of fossil fuel? Also, the plastic that is used in the packaging of such items that are sent to people, are they guaranteeing that they will use recyclable materials? Even if the vehicles used by Amazon are electric, the traffic congestion caused by increased number of vehicles on the road will cause increased air pollution. The jobs, people have talked about it, they intend to be robotic by 2030, so any jobs would be temporary at best. All the small delivery services will be put out of business, of course. The infrastructure, what does it mean for the taxpayers for infrastructure improvements to road, water, and electric delivery? Again, air pollution has got to be one of the biggest costs. Are taxpayers going to be on the hook for all these costs? Is Amazon prepared to muscle all these costs? In closing, I would like to point out that billionaires actively search for ways to offset their costs to the surrounding communities. And I understand that people have asked you to do something about this previously, and you said you don't have the authority. Who does? And what happens to our city's environmental impact statements? Who's in charge?
Thank you, Faye. Our next speakers are Ken Willis, followed by Brenda Kame-Nui.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ken Willis. I'm from Ward 5, and this is just a reminder that you've heard a lot from the community regarding Flock, and there's really no compromise here. And the fact I keep hearing that Chris Skinner behind the scenes keeps pushing the idea that we're going to find a different use for these, we're going to find a different use for these, we're going to find a different use for these, sounds like arrogance to me. And the fact that the gentleman has been given information time after time after time about the problems with this company, the problem with these cameras, and how the community feels, yet he continues to push this, is beginning to smell of willful ignorance. I'm done. There is no negotiation. The cameras go, the contract's canceled. There's no ambiguousness in this. This is what the people have asked for. I mean, you've got cameras that are being broken all over town now. There is talk in this audience of people wanting to break these things. I don't know if you hear this, but you have a revolt almost on your hands. You're going to have Amazon roaming around with 2,000 vehicles that have surveillance capabilities in 360 degrees, listening, FLIR, which is infrared. You're going to have facial recognition software on top of just basic video surveillance. It's becoming all pervasive. If we don't get control of this, we're living in a police state. I don't care if you're left-wing or right-wing. You are not going to enjoy living in a police state. Flock is non-negotiable. Cancel the contracts, pull the cameras. If it's not done by January, we're going to talk about bagging them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Our next speakers are Brenda Kame-Nui, followed by Bernadette Ross.
Hello, I'm Brenda Kame-Nui from Ward 2. It took no time to become a country we don't recognize, riddled with lawlessness by those in power and no sheriff in town to stop the wreckage. The powerful flaunt violation of democratic laws as others suffer vengeance, mockery, and cruelty. The marriage of billionaires and the current federal government is obvious. History of billionaires avoiding federal taxes is an open book. As CEO of Amazon for 20 years, Jeff Bezos kept his salary at $80,000, saving millions in taxes on his real wealth of over $200 billion. In 23-24, he paid no taxes but made $8 million an hour during that year. Amazon cites the One Big Beautiful Bill Act of 25 as key to a deduction that brought a 45% decrease in Amazon taxes for the third quarter of this year, even as quarterly profits rose 38%. Amazon centers capitalism that feeds greed, and the current marriage of politics and corporations are not good for Eugene. Studies show the environmental impact of delivering 1 or 2 items to consumers is far greater than a shopper driving to Eugene Hardware for a wrench and a garden hose, because on the same trip, this shopper will buy groceries at Market of Choice and bread at Great Harvest before getting a car wash at 18th and Willamette. While the country swirls into one we don't recognize, know, or like, let's keep Eugene a place we do like. Is the impact on our environment, our quality of life, and our souls worth delivering a toothbrush overnight and a screwdriver the next day? Amazon is not one we want to invite to our table this week. We would likely get much more than we bargained for, and it wouldn't be great livability.
Thank you, Brenda. Our next speakers are Bernadette Ross, followed by Stan Talon. Perhaps that's Taylor.
Hi, I'm Bernadette Ross. I live in Ward 7. And I am here, and I'm actually really inspired after being here because what everyone has said so far about ICE in our community, about the flock cameras, and about Amazon, you guys could be our heroes. We have such an opportunity here in Eugene. Let's break out. Look at all the people that are here to support you. The community is begging for this. This is what we want. We were all mesmerized by getting something from Amazon in the early 2000s. We're done with that. Let's go local. You guys have the power to do that. Let's start a movement. You guys, get out into the communities. Let's move people. Everyone wants to do this. And you could be the heroes. And the idea of making Eugene a protected city, whatever Cameron said, let's do it, you guys. This is Eugene, Oregon. This is what we're known for. This is the time, today, now. Be our heroes, please.
Thank you, Bernadette. Our next speakers are Stan Taylor, followed by Will Gibney.
I just want to remind the crowd, silent hands in supported. Please, no other comments and no other sounds while there is an individual speaking at the microphone. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Stan Taylor. I'm Ward 1. I'm also one of the members of the steering committee for Indivisible Eugene Springfield, which is the group that sparked this Say No to Amazon campaign. And you can see it's spreading quite quickly beyond Say No, or beyond Indivisible, into other parts of the community, and we're just beginning. So what I want to tell you, because I'm hearing that the thought is that you have no way to actually make this happen, is in fact you do have legal ways to make this happen. And let me start by saying the legal way to make this happen is to recognize that the permit process that has been used so far in Eugene is illegal. It violates state law. ORS 455.050 reads, all building permits issued in the state shall contain the following information. And the first subpoint is the name and address of the owner of the building or structure to be constructed under the permit. That's state law that applies to the city of Eugene. Yet what we've seen in Eugene is an application for a permit by an unknown entity, although we all know it's Amazon, with non-disclosure agreements and defective notice to the public. The only notice to the public that was given for this event or for this development were 2 small signs placed on back roads next to or on the property to be developed. There was a public hearing on Zoom that had 2 participants show up. The adjacent neighborhood associations were not notified. Totally defective public notice, both breaking the law and breaking the spirit of the law in terms of moving forward. So you can do this very quickly. You can first make a Type 5 amendment to the code, and then you can invalidate, and this is a remedy under state law, you can deny or revoke.
Thank you, Stan. Your time is concluded. Our next speakers are Will Gibney, followed by Linda Lanker.
Good evening. My name is Will Gibney. I'm a resident of Ward 7. I've lived in Eugene for over 40 years, and I have several concerns. My first concern is the recent news of the Amazon building a giant warehouse off of Highway 99. It will definitely impact our streets and the traffic, yet not a word from you or the city. Amazon is known for being anti-union, anti-worker rights, so no living wage jobs there. Time and again, I see you side with development and not with citizens. I feel there's a lack of accountability and integrity when it comes to growth and development strategies. Please change that. I would like to see you at least weigh in on this, or tell your constituents, me for instance, what you're going to do, how you feel about it. I have no idea. This leads me to my next concern. Ubiquitous flock cameras. They seem to be used despite being shut off. I feel that you all are hoping the fervor will die down, Chief Skinner will quietly turn them back on, and the city manager is going to go off on her merry way with not a care in the world. I would love to see them covered in plastic. I would know then for sure they're not being used. Even better, stop the contract, take them down, please, take them down. And lastly, there's the unconstitutional ICE raids, targeting brown people. Not criminals, not cartels, just brown people. No due process, just disappearance. Where are your voices? Where are your actions? I have heard and seen nothing. No support for those citizens. Please come down to the federal building. Join me on Tuesday. See what's going on down there for yourself. It's time to stand up and take on these issues. I'm hoping that you people will represent me, to protect me and stand up for me and for the most vulnerable people that live here in our town.
Thank you, Will. Our next speakers are Linda Lanker, followed by Rachel McDade.
Good evening, Mayor Knudsen and City Council members. I have a short list of 4 reasons important to me not to sell any land in our community to Amazon. 1, Amazon helps drive ICE's deportation actions by providing it with data storage, surveillance, and data accumulation. ICE can't do its job without the infrastructure that Amazon and other firms provide. Amazon's plans to build a massive warehouse in Eugene have no long-term benefits. The promised warehouse jobs will be replaced by AI robotics as they continue to automate, and their plans their ultimate goal is to automate 75% of operations. 3, The delivery driver jobs will also be phased out. Currently, Amazon delivers packages in Lane County using UPS, FedEx, and our United States Postal Service. But Amazon is going to create its own delivery fleet to cut out these carriers. Fourth, Amazon is anti-union and violates workers' rights to breaks, safety, and reasonable hours. Amazon workers are under surveillance and pressured to meet huge quotas, risking physical harm to themselves. Finally, this land is for sale, and some business will buy it. Please don't allow it to be sold to such an unethical business as Amazon. They will do more harm than good to Eugene, and Eugene is our home. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Our next speakers are Rachel McDade, followed by Kelly Johnson. Is there a Rachel McDade in the room? I will call for Rachel one more time. Our next speaker is Kelly Johnson.
Good evening, Mayor, councilors. My name is Kelly Johnson, and I live in Ward 4. During a time of year where many of us are reflecting on gratitude, I wanted to express my deep gratitude for the Downtown Program Fund and Art in the Parks program. These programs are shining examples of what it looks like when the city partners with community groups and when that partnership truly shines. These programs don't just fund events, they help build conditions for those events to succeed. In 2024, that support made possible more than 32,000 people coming to participate in creative, welcoming experiences, including 10 downtown events and 11 Arts in the Parks events. Those projects also provided 630 artists and performers paid gigs. What makes this program so special is that it is a combination of funding and hands-on support. Many of the organizers behind these projects are volunteers with full-time jobs, and without guidance on permitting, safety logistics, best practices, and without access to shared equipment like canopies, tables, and chairs, many of these events would not happen. So city partnership is not just helpful, it's essential. And the outcomes are real. This summer, the Jazz Station partnered with the Lane County Farmers Market to host 4 free concerts in the Farmers Market Pavilion. 400 to 500 people showed up to each event. Pairing live music with these Thursday night markets, these 2 organizations didn't just create a concert, they created a gathering place that felt safe, lively, and welcoming, a place where people stayed downtown longer, supported local vendors, and experienced cultural exchange in a real way. Across the city, we saw similar results. Artists paid fairly to share their work, families attending arts programming that they might not have otherwise had access to, and public spaces brought to life with joy, culture, and connection. As we look ahead, I hope the city continues and strengthens this investment because these programs show what's possible when the government and community work hand in hand. Thank you for all you do for arts and culture in our town.
Thank you, Kelly. One last call for Rachel McDade. Our next speakers are William Schwall, followed by Ruth Wren.
Hi, I'm William Schwall, Ward 7, and a lot of us Ward 7 folks here tonight. Thank you for listening. God knows you've been at it for almost 4 hours now. I don't think I could do it. I have a question for you, and it is not entirely rhetorical, even though I don't expect a comprehensive reply tonight, but I will wait. My question is, what are you, as representatives of our city, doing to keep us safe? We have armed gangs in the street, wearing masks and disappearing people. These are not arrests. These are abductions. The tamale lady in the nice, peaceful South Eugene the other day, and people were calling saying, does anybody know who she was? They took her away and left her stuff on the sidewalk. In my own neighborhood, I saw a really shiny black SUV with no license plates. I wonder how long I could drive around with no license plates before I got pulled over. What is our city doing to keep us safe? Maybe we need to give it some thought, come up with some new ideas. You've got my email, you can make public statements. The police department badges say to serve and protect. And your residents need protection right now. Thank you.
Thank you, William. Our next speakers are Ruth Wren, followed by Wynn Mansell.
Hi, I'm Ruth Wren. I live in Ward 1. The Envision Eugene website reads, "We envision Eugene as a city where growth is in alignment with the values of the community, supporting health, well-being, and prosperity of all community members, intended to address the needs and desires of Eugene's residents, as well as statewide planning." Eugene's community vision reads, "Communities are defined by their natural settings, their neighborhoods of buildings, streets, and parks, and most importantly, by the people who live there. The Clear Lake Overlay Zone site says, the area will be developed in a way that supports policies that call for fairness in achieving a healthy environment, vibrant community, and improved quality of life for surrounding neighborhoods, while recognizing the community's values around climate change, sustainability, local food systems, and natural resources. They're such beautiful visions, and I wish Eugene would live up to them." A Bloomberg article called, "When Amazon Puts a Warehouse Next Door, We Can't Escape," says, "City planners are scrambling to assess fallout from suburban e-commerce warehouses. Traffic is the first, most visible impact, but researchers want to know what these facilities mean for air quality, neighborhood safety, and other quality of life measures. But why hasn't Eugene officials done this research?" A Guardian article called "Noise, Pollution, and Danger: How Amazon Warehouses Upended a Sleepy New York Neighborhood" says, "When warehouses open in a residential neighborhood, the increase in vehicles on the streets sends ripple effects throughout the community, breaks up the roads faster, noise is higher, and it slows down passenger cars." And a street blog named "Traffic Injuries Increase Near Amazon Warehouses" says, "We've become so accustomed to getting our toilet paper, socks, and cookies right away that we've stopped thinking about the consequences, but we all pay the price of more traffic crashes, worsening air quality, and worker injuries. We cannot allow the benefits of e-commerce to come at the expense of limbs, lungs, and lives." Eugene could make much better.
Thank you, Ruth. Our next speakers are Wynn Mansell, followed by Danny Revel Huffsmith.
Good evening, Mayor, City Councilors, City staff. My name is Wayne Mansell, keeping it going, resident of Ward 7, and I'm here again tonight to ask you to cancel the flock contract, pull the cameras down. Also, really seems like we are in, as Cameron said, a state of emergency. We have people acting unlawfully in our community, and in a democratic society, everyone must be equal under the law, so I urge you to apply the law equally to everyone in our community. Returning to the flock cameras, I do appreciate that you've turned them off. Speaking professionally, everything I've read indicates that they are still an active security vulnerability for the community, to put it like that. As such, at least in my line of work, we address that by closing the vulnerability as fast as possible. In this case, that means taking the cameras down. Also, in my experience, companies like Amazon, companies like Flock Safety, really rely on frictionless access to information and the area that they operate in. One of the easiest ways that you could exercise your power to provide resistance to groups like this, very similar to like I'm sure many of us were taught in grade school, is how you deal with a bully, by standing up to them. By providing resistance, setting policy, setting city ordinances that require them to offer any sort of anything in return to the community for their use, like having to have an open audit trail, disclose cybersecurity audits of their system, disclose how their systems are tested, apply, regarding the Amazon warehouse, apply, to our environmental regulations. Any resistance like that will likely lead to them packing up. I think it's also very important, given that Flock frequently partners with privately held cameras, or, turning it back to Amazon, having an agreement with Amazon to use Ring cameras. Really, you have to have policy that applies to the concept as a whole in order for the community to be protected. Thank you for letting me speak. Bye.
Thank you, Wynn. Our next speakers are Danny Revel Huffsmith, followed by Mary Moffett.
Evening, Council. My name is Danny Revel Huffsmith. I reside in Ward 2, and I have a song for you. Every day those cameras are up, we lose a little faith in you. Every day those cameras are up, we lose a little faith in you. Your constituency wants a real democracy, not one that's bought by businesses or the wealthy elite. You were elected, and so your actions should be connected to the people of this city when we speak our minds and sing you ditties. Every day those cameras are up, we lose a little faith in you. Every day those cameras are up, we lose a little faith in you. Their safety's not guaranteed, so we sit and plead over and over. Do you care? Seems like all you do is sit and stare. Yet we will win, and our patience won't run thin. We will show up every meeting. We will speak to you till we're succeeding. Every day those cameras are up, we lose a little faith in you. Every day those cameras are up, we lose a little faith in you. Every day those cameras are up, we lose a little faith in you. Every day those cameras are up, we lose a little faith in you. I'd like to include a copy of the lyrics as well as the chord chart here. If you'd like to cover it, you're welcome to. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny. Our next speakers are Mary Moffett, followed by Erica Lyon.
Thank you for your service. I know that I appreciate what you do. I've lived in Eugene for 51 years, and I'm a retired 4J teacher. And I remember Hyundai going to bring us all these jobs, and it's an empty warehouse in West Eugene. I also remember lots of times where the Eugene Council has come through and listened to the people. I was shocked when I put this on a couple of days ago, and everywhere I go, young people at the restaurant, I got my hair cut, they're saying, yeah, we don't want that. We don't want Amazon here either. I didn't realize how. So I feel like we represent a lot more people than are here tonight. We really don't want, my concern is air inversions. We have air inversions in the Willamette Valley. Anything that brings any more traffic is just nasty for our locals, let alone climate, as well as covering wetlands with huge amounts. And to me, Amazon, for years I have not, if I see something on Amazon, I go buy it at the original store and pay the postage, support local jobs. And I also feel as a sanctuary city, any cooperation that goes together with ICE, which is really the government's SS. It's the government's SS. That's what it is. It's ICE. And they could be coming for us next when this is allowed to happen. We just don't know who will be next. It's not okay. So thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Our next speaker is Erica Lyon, and Erica will be our last speaker.
All right. Last month, I emailed both El Rapa and my city councilor about my concerns with building an Amazon warehouse in previously protected farmland close to the airport. I let them know I was unhappy with acres of wetlands being paved over to create parking space for over 1,400 vehicles, about the increase in traffic this would bring. I let them know I was worried about the environmental impact of the 20 extra tons of particulate emissions and 39 extra tons of volatile emissions that result each year from this increased traffic. I also brought up Amazon's deplorable labor record. Lastly, I let them know that I was concerned about Amazon's collaboration with ICE. Of course, it was already too late, with construction likely to begin next month. My question is, why wasn't the public more involved in these plans early on? And no, a poorly advertised 13-minute meeting last year in which only 2 members of the public showed up does not count as proper public engagement. Why didn't they want to include us in the approval process? Could it be because if we knew of the potential consequences, we'd be reluctant to let Amazon steamroll its way into Eugene? I know what you're going to say. Eugene needs the jobs to boost its economy. This is a very short-sighted approach. Have the city councilors asked themselves what the quality of these jobs will be like, or if they provide long-term stability? Given Amazon's poor track record, these are bound to be low-quality jobs with low pay and an abusive work environment in which employees are overworked and denied breaks. Amazon also engages in aggressive union busting. Moreover, the jobs created from this project are mostly temporary, as jobs are slated to be replaced by AI and fully automated by 2030. On a more personal note, every year I pick blueberries for a couple of months on a farm out in Alvador. I often bike there, going down Green Hill and Clear Lake roads to get there. A major draw for me is the beautiful scenery I get to enjoy along the way. Plunking a gargantuan industrial warehouse in this area is just going to ruin this enjoyment for me, make bike riding this segment of Green Hill even more dangerous and precarious. It would be nice if there were a wider bike lane or even a separate bike path on Green Hill, but that's a topic for another discussion. With all this in mind, my last question to you is, are the short-term economic benefits worth the degradation of our natural environment, our scenery, our workers, and our collective values? Please do your jobs and stand up to this warehouse. You have the power to say no. Please use our authority to do so. Thank you again. Erica Lyon, Ward 8.
Thank you, Erica. Mayor, that was our final speaker for the 90-minute limit.
Thank you. I now close the public comment period. Are there any comments from City Council? Councillor Keating. Councillor Keating, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few days ago, I reached out to you and to City Manager, underscoring how aghast I was and community members in South Eugene reporting an abduction. And I appreciate the community coming out so strongly tonight, pointing to the atrocities, to the apprehension, and to the unrest in our community. I appreciate the invitation to join you Tuesday. I will be on a road trip as I'm coming back from Salt Lake City. I'm in Reno, Nevada as we speak. And while I was in Salt Lake, I worked with, as I mentioned at the top of this meeting, partners from Hood River and from the state of Washington and alongside the mayor of Ashland to try and advance a resolution that would address these atrocities more readily and do what little we can to strengthen our sanctuary city or even sanctuary state laws. There are movements afoot in our legislature. I encourage you to follow the Judiciary Committee in regards to the LPR or flock camera conversation. And I want to thank Leader Casey Jama for advancing the conversation around what the state can do in regards to the aforementioned abductions. I hear you, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I want to thank the community members who came out tonight to speak so passionately. And on this, I guess, eve of Thanksgiving, Mayor, I would be remiss tonight before we close if I didn't give thanks to our staff, the folks behind the scenes who make our meetings run, the folks at all levels of government who keep our parks clean, who keep our community safe, and who keep the city of Eugene functioning. So on this Monday evening, several eves before Thanksgiving, I want to give thanks not only to those who showed up tonight and who show up every Monday or every other Monday, every second and fourth Monday of the month, but I want to give thanks to the staff who work day in and day out to make our community happen. Thank you, Mayor.
Any other comments from City Council this evening? Councilor Leach?
Thank you, Mayor. And I know our city manager is not here today, but I'm hoping that we can maybe get some information about how we might go about declaring an emergency state in response to our community members being detained by ICE. If we can get that information back to us in a memo or something, process.
Be happy to do that, and I'll connect with the city manager and the assistant city manager.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Any other comments from council? I will just share that I have previously scheduled an event to be at the county courthouse tomorrow, and so I may see some of you there. I want to take a moment to appreciate our community, and especially to appreciate the people who are working in our community and who have been working in our community for 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 years to protect individuals here, to protect our farm workers, to protect our migrant population, and to increase the access and opportunity for our community who are Spanish speaking or who are immigrants to this place. The work that they are doing and that they have done is incredibly important, and these are so often just the bonds of friendship and community that are tying people together and offering really critical support. So I want to just offer that as my own observation of thanks. I also want to thank everyone who came to give public comment this evening, and also the number of people who have reached out to council through other venues. We certainly receive a lot of input from the community on any given day and week, and that is part of the responsibility that we all carry as your elected officials. So thank you for our time together this evening. Thank you, council, for also listening and for your engagement throughout your week. With that, I will now close the November 24th, 2025 City Council meeting, and we are adjourned.